Everybody, it's Tuesday. You know what time it is. It's Longhorn Confidential time. Danny Davis, the Austin American-Statesman, as always. Cedric Golden, Kirk Bohls. Guys, how are we doing today? We know how the Longhorns are doing. They're off. They get the week off to kind of recoup and, I guess, recover from what was a tough weekend in Stillwater. Texas 34, Oklahoma State 41. If you were rooting for the bright orange, you were very happy. Burnt orange, not so much. Said you were with us. In Stillwater. First off, we're a little upset with our friends from the Oklahoman. Jenny, Jacob, Barry, they did not inform us that it is freezing cold in the press box. But once we thawed out, once we actually kind of got over the chilly press box, said, what did you observe on the field and from your reporting up in Stillwater? And what was a pretty rough loss for the Longhorns, their third overall loss, second loss in Big 12 play.
Well, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over. And it was freezing in the press box, and I still had an ice cream sandwich. How about that? But as far as football's concerned, man, I told Kirk on second thought that I thought they'd lose. I thought they'd lose. You can't trust them. Danny, and you can tell Kirk this. When it was 31-17, I elbowed Danny and I go, all right, here we go. I mean, they're up 14 and no one is quite sure that they're going to win the game, and that's a problem. And so not force feeding Bijan Robinson and Roshan Johnson while you're throwing it downfield with a quarterback who just didn't have it is just an indictment on Sark. He's got to be smarter in game in the second half. And guys running open, they couldn't connect. Quinn and his receivers did not connect, and in the second half, and so it was there for the taking. Probably should have won the game, but they find a way to give it away in the second half. It's no longer a trend; it's actually who they are, and that's a problem.
Yeah, I'm going to go over some stats, and then Kirk, you can kind of tell me what stands out. Quinn Ewers, as Seth alluded to, the redshirt sophomore quarterback, first true road start. We don't count Dallas as a road game. 19 of 14, stat wise, 319 yards, 2 touchdown passes. I take that on my fantasy football team. But he also had 3 interceptions, and that once again that 19 of 49, passing, which is a under 40% completion percentage. On defense, season high 535 yards allowed, season high 41 points allowed. So a step back on a defense that was playing well. Anthony Cook, the senior defensive back, got hurt, broken arm. He's week to week, which I'm not a doctor, but I'll
No
take
broken arm. Yeah,
I'll take Steve is at his arm at his word on that timeline. Texas not ranked now, dropped from 20 to out of the poll. They haven't been a ranked team since the beginning of the 2021 season, their first game of the Sarkisian era against Louisiana. They're now 1-6 in road games under Steve Sarkisian. And this is also the fifth loss that they have under Steve Sarkisian, which they have had a second half lead of at least 10 points. So a lot of stats there, Kirk, a lot of stuff I just said. What kind of stands out to you about that loss in Stillwater?
10-10 stands out to me. And that's average. That's mediocre. And you don't hire a coach and pay him $6.3 million a year to be 500. You just don't. And I agree with Sid. I think Sark outsmarted himself with his game plan. I've been joking that he scripts the first 20 plays. He should script an entire game. Maybe that's what's missing, is just go all in and script every play. Because it's windy as hell in that place, as you all know. You're up 14. You've got running backs that are averaging either 5 or 6 yards a carry. You just outsmart yourself, and Quinn didn't have it. And why he didn't turn the Hudson card for a series or two, I just don't know. And he came from a place in Alabama where Nick Saban does that at halftime of a national championship game, for Pete's sake. So, that whole 1-6 road record, the 10-10 overall record, it just speaks to a lack of adjustments in the second half. And that counterplay was working in the first half. They shut that down, so you got to come back with something else. And I don't know, it's just I think people are at wits' ends trying to figure out why Sark can't do something to stop that second half collapse every game, especially on the road.
And Danny, it came on the same day where Dabo Swinney just said, "Look, DJ's not getting it done. I'm going to K Klubnik, and he's a freshman, but I'm gonna put this in his hands because my guy doesn't have it today. Because he reiterated that DJ's still the starter after the game, but he
Yes.
knew what he had to do to win that game. And so I'm not saying put um, Hudson Card in there and say he's a starter for the rest of the season. I'm not saying
Nobody is.
that.
Nobody
But
is.
maybe you need a spark that day. And I know someone in press box goes, I think I've seen enough of Hudson Card on the road. I'm like, well, Hudson Card is better than he was last year. And so I would have liked to have seen a plan B, and looked like plan A didn't get it done. So I know he's got some soul searching that he's doing right now during this bye week, but you got to make sure this thing doesn't go off the rails. You still have some really tough competition. Your two toughest games are coming up right after the bye week. You got at K-State, TCU, big games.
And to that point, guys, I think Klubnik may have thrown 4 or 5 passes. They relied on their running game and a suffocating defense that shut down Syracuse after that. But like you said, DJ had 3 turnovers. And he took him out. It didn't become 4 or 5 turnovers. So, I know quarterbacks are different. We all know that. And Sark talked about that on Monday a little bit. But when you have a track record of 1-6 on the road, you got to do something to shake things up, and because it clearly wasn't working.
And one more thing, Danny. One more thing. The thing that really should really worry Texas fans moving forward is the next time you get up double digits in the second half, your opponent's not going to quit. They don't have a reason to lay down because they believe you're going to let them back in the game, because that's what you do. That's what you do. If Mike Tyson knocked a guy down in the first round, that fight wasn't going more than 2 or 3 rounds. But guys are getting up off the mat to beat Texas, and they're not going to quit because they believe that Texas is not a good second half team, and that's the truth. They're not.
One thing I will push back about with the Hudson Card, Quinn Ewers conversation is this wasn't Clemson Syracuse, and this wasn't Texas Arkansas last year. Texas was winning. Quinn did not play well, but Texas was also winning until like 4 minutes, 3 minutes left in the game. At that point, you're not putting in a cold Hudson Card to try to march your team down the field. So I think it's a little bit of a different situation. Not to say that Quinn was playing well, but Texas was also winning and up by 10 points. So there should be something said about that. But now Texas is 3-2 in Big 12 play. TCU, Oklahoma State, Kansas State all ahead of them in the conference standings. Texas does get TCU and Kansas State the rest of the season, but I think TCU is pretty much locked in to one of those spots in the Big 12 championship game. And Oklahoma State is very much in control of their destiny. They'd have to slip up pretty mightily for Texas to kind of jump them in that pecking order. But we shall see. As we said, Texas is on a bye this week. Play a little game with you two. What is one thing that Texas must work on its offense and its defense during this week? We'll start with offense. We'll start with Ced. What is one thing you want to see Texas work on this week with its offense?
Their quarterback has to play better. I know it's simplistic, but he's got to be better. His protection was decent. He's got the best running back in the country and the best backup running back in the country on his team. And he and those receivers, I hope, are out throwing that football right now. They got to figure out a way to get some passes, moving those chains. And it doesn't, and this is on Sark as well. It doesn't have to be a 35-yard, 50-yard bomb downfield. More Jordan Whittington, more chain moving to set up some play action passes. Because if Quinn plays like this, it's just going to be bad, Danny. And I hate to say it, you're going to be back in San Antonio. Sorry, I'm sorry, Chaz, but Danny Davis, Kirk Bohls said only going to be in San Antonio at the Alamo Bowl if Quinn Ewers doesn't play well down the stretch.
No way. They're not going to be good enough to go to the Alamo Bowl. They're right behind the New Year's Six bowls.
No,
So
no, if they get so Alamo's first in the pecking order now?
no, it's I think it's second after New Year's Six, and they ain't the second best team in the Big 12. Sid, you're looking at Houston or Liberty Bowl or Cheez It Bowl.
I
So
don't want Liberty. I don't want them. I'll take. Yeah, Bev and I've never been to Orlando, fam. Never been to Orlando.
it's all about you. It's all about you. So
Never been to Never been to Beale Street, fam.
you know,
Memphis in the winter might be brutal.
I don't know what I think they need to fix more the play caller than the pass thrower, because I think Quinn is really good. I don't think any of our faith in him has been shattered or hurt.
Mm-mm.
It's his fifth start. His fifth start, and Spencer.
But I will say this: Greg McElroy had a point. Greg McElroy said, "You know what? He's got that big arm, and he doesn't always step into his throws. He's throwing off. He's got that gun, so he's throwing off his back foot.
Yeah.
And when you throw off your back foot like that, you're not always accurate. You don't step toward the target. So
Sure.
I know there's some mechanical things. He's wildly talented, and sometimes a wildly talented cat can take shortcuts and still get to the desired location. But when you struggle, that's when you have to go back to the fundamentals, and hopefully they're working on him with that. I expect him to play better. He's just too talented to not play better. But their problems are always going to be that of road problems. I mean, if they play TCU, that's a pick 'em at DKR. It is. But in Fort Worth, I'd have TCU by 7 or 8 points. I just would.
But Quinn is not a finished product. Like I said, it's his fifth start. That was Spencer Sanders' 500th, career start. He's been there forever. He's been there as long as Gundy, it seems like.
He played well.
And that makes a big difference. That was as good as Spencer Sanders has looked. And
he took care of the ball.
And I would like to see Texas run the ball a bit more and hit that short intermediate pass. Hit some more crosses over the middle instead of throwing deep so much. What do you got, Danny?
I think I'd kind of lean more towards Kirk saying. I mean, when you're blowing this many second half leads, I think that's indicative of you not making adjustments and the opposing team making adjustments. And your team scored 3 points in the second half. And, granted, the players had to go execute, but that also says something about you not being able to scheme up to match up with Oklahoma State, who, they have good defensive coaches. But Texas and Steve Sarkisian and his offensive staff just weren't able to match that. And that's been a problem in some of their these second half slip-ups that they've had. So obviously the players need to play better, but I would say that the coaches who are making a nice amount of change need to do a better job of scheming after halftime and adjusting to counter what the defensive coaches on the other sideline are doing. But let's go defense. Kirk, we'll start with you. What's one thing you want to see this defense work on over this bye week?
Tackling, and maybe a little more tackling. I mean, I think we thought that had kind of been fixed a little bit, but then they had the bad tackling game against Iowa State and some against West Virginia. I don't know how many missed tackles they had, but it's just, that led to explosive play. That last touchdown, what was it, 54 yards, guys? Something like that. And they just don't wrap up, and there wasn't help there immediately to get the guy down. And it's just a backbreaking when you have those big explosive plays. You turn the field upside down and the scoreboard. It's kind of like those 2 long plays Roshan and Bijan had, back then. They're rolling, and I'm thinking, wow, Texas has got this. They really do. But I don't know. It just seemed like they slipped into some bad tackling fundamentals again. And the pass defense, I mean, look at it. They're 94th in the country in pass defense now. 94th. But then you look at it, TCU is 101st. Oregon 115th. Oklahoma State 127. So part of that's just kind of the game today. But I really think they need to work more on tackling. And I know it's hard to do because you don't want to be overly physical in practices, and you already got Anthony Cook playing with a broken arm. Since when did a broken arm make you day to day? If I break my arm, I'm out for 2 years probably. So,
hey, you broke your neck and you still came back to play.
Second half. That's how stupid I am.
Don't talk to me about broken arms, sir. You play with a broken neck.
That's pretty stupid, though.
Yeah, yeah.
I say tackling. What do you guys have?
We're sharing a brain on that. I mean, it was noticeable, especially down the stretch. The first guy seemed to always miss the guy with the ball. And Sark even brought it up. He said, I could show you on tape where early in the game we were swarming, and then late in the game, one guy gets there and then everybody's just watching and they're not joining in the tackle. So I think that's got to be priority one in the bye week. Like you said, I don't know how you practice that. I guess you practice on the tackling dummies, but you don't tackle on live bodies because that's how you can get hurt in practice.
A
So
lot of it's effort, said, because you
yeah,
remember he said he would see on the tape where one guy's trying to get him down, and you got several guys watching. That's
yeah.
focus and intensity.
For the desperation of losing this game and knowing that you basically you're done in the Big 12 if you lose one more. And so that desperation quotient is going to be amped up. And I fully expect to see them swarming in their next game. Now, whether or not it adds up to a win, I don't know. But like you said, tackling and effort got to be priority one on that side of the ball.
I'd like to see the young corners behind Ryan Watts and Deshaun Jameson get some good practice reps because they're going to be needed down the stretch. And then obviously, whatever Texas has to do, despite how many weeks Anthony Cook is out. Apparently, he may be back next week, but we need to see that depth at safety because Anthony had been playing really, really well this
Great year.
season.
You're right.
He's going to be
Played
missed.
his way into an NFL camp this year.
So I'd like to see just the depth of those, I guess, defense, pretty much the entire secondary, just kind of tested and giving some good reps because, those older guys who are starting, they've obviously been through some battles. So give the young guys some reps because they're going to be needed down the stretch. We talked about what we want Texas to do during the bye week. What are we going to be doing during the bye week? Obviously, it's a weekend off for us, although really there's no such thing as a weekend off. But Kirk, I know you have some travel plans set. What are you going to be doing? What are the travel plans? What do you plan on watching this weekend?
Well, I know the Duck's gonna be in La La Land with Brad Pitt and Angelina and J-Lo.
Yeah, we're going out Saturday night.
And he just might cover a soccer match. He might. That's up in the air. I told him, make sure you go to the match. Just make sure you go. I'm covering Saturday. I'm going to cover the Texas Longhorn men's basketball team in a scrimmage against Arkansas. Just to see what they have. They got those new faces, so I kind of want to get acclimated before the real stuff starts. And then on Sunday, I think I'm chilling because I think my fantasy league team is playing the Emmitt Smith trading cards owned by one Davis, who's having a down year. He's usually on top, but
which means you're on a bye. You're on a bye this week if you're playing me.
Oh man, that's it. Sunday, I think I'm off on Sunday. So yeah,
hey, you can watch
I'm going to be working on my season for caring stuff this weekend. That's for sure. I got lots of that going.
Awesome. What are you doing, Danny?
I'm actually going to take a weekend off. We don't get a lot of weekends off. It's obviously the Halloween's on Monday, so I think we're going to go to a pumpkin patch with my young son and get to see him, get to spend some time with my wife, and not worry about this job for a couple of days. But Kirk, what's Austin FC's chances? Are they going to be? Is this going to be a good trip to LA, or is this going to be a long flight home?
Well, I've kind of known for some crazy predictions, so heck, why not? I'll go all in and say they're going to win. They're 2-0 against LAFC this year. Beat them both home and away. It's the only team that's beaten LA twice in the same year. And last time they were here, August 26th, they killed them 4-1. I know Ced watched every minute of those 90 minutes, and that was a huge win. So they go out with a lot of confidence, and they won't be at Q2, but I give them they've got good momentum. I give them some good chance to go in there and maybe get it done. Sebastian Driussi, probably the MVP of the league. Brad Stuver, one of the best goalkeepers in the league. So they got it going. So I know you two will be watching intently instead of your NFL fantasy teams on Sunday.
Let's actually talk about a soccer team that the people watching this care about. your Texas soccer team.
There you go.
Lots of Longhorns actually in action this week, even though the football team's off. The soccer team will be
Big
at
12
home
camps.
Oklahoma on Thursday. The Fighting Ange Kellys, they are Big 12 champions, regular season champions for the first time since 2001. So, if you go out to the Myers Stadium on Thursday, you'll be able to, say farewell to the seniors, congratulate that team on what has been a pretty spectacular season for them. School record, I believe it's now 15 straight matches that they have not lost. Been a couple ties in there, but great run since that North Carolina loss earlier in the season, which is nothing to be disappointed in. North Carolina is obviously a great program. Volleyball team will be at Gregory Gym on Wednesday night. Seth and I will both be there to see them play Texas Tech. On Friday night, they go on the road. We'll play Kansas State at 6:30 up in Manhattan. As said, on Saturday, Arkansas, Texas, their men's basketball teams will be playing is a charity exhibition match that will benefit the Seedling Foundation and the Break the Pipeline Foundation, two good causes that they're raising money for. The following day, the women will play an exhibition game against DePaul at 2:00. The proceeds from that will go towards the Uvalde Moving Forward Foundation. And Vic Schaefer has also said that he'll donate $1,000 out of his own pocket for every 1,000 fans that go through the door. So they're trying to raise some money for a good cause. With that, also a chance for to fans to get to the Moody Center, see the Moody Center for the first time before the football season starts out. So if you've seen it for a concert, you can go see what it's going to look like for a basketball thing. And also the orange-white scrimmage for the Texas women is on Wednesday afternoon at 5:00.
I got one final thing. What is Charlie's Halloween costume going to be Monday, and how much candy corn are you going to eat?
I'm going to eat plenty because no one likes it, so this is more for me to eat. But Charlie will be a lion.
Lion, I like it.
Got to try out his costume last week at his daycare, and he looked quite adorable, which is his thing. Looking cute. Also on Sunday, while you're watching your football, you can check out Sam Ehlinger. His first career start for the Indianapolis Colts was named the starter this week. So I'm sure a lot of Texas fans will be interested in the Colts for the first time in a long time. But they'll be playing the Commanders, what should be a cool game if you're a Texas fan or a local football fan who's been watching Sam grow up since he was at Westlake High School.
And Mr. Branson, the tight end.
Yep, Kylan Gordon, another Westlake product. So I guess we just called them the Westlake Colts. On Second Thought podcast comes out on Thursday as well. You can listen to that as you go to the soccer match at night. What are we doing on the On Second Thought podcast this week?
Go ahead, Doug.
What are we doing? We may talk American football. We may talk European football.
We're going to talk both kinds of football. We're going to talk a little bit of Austin FC, and Duck is trying to get Diego Fagundes. If we can get Diego, we're gonna roll. We're gonna rock. So hopefully, we'll have that guest, and we'll talk about the struggles of the Longhorns, the struggles of the Aggies.
Woo.
And
that could take a while.
Might take a while. It'll be hot.
All righty. Well, that's going to do it for us. Be sure to check out that podcast on Thursday. We appreciate you guys watching this on YouTube, listening to it wherever you get your podcast. If you're watching on Facebook, we appreciate that too. Be sure to check out statesman.com throughout the week for all of our content, and we will see you next week as Texas prepares for Kansas State. And we hope that you enjoy your weekend off, and we'll see you all down the road.